So we'll do the review now. Yeah, there's no surprise. I think this game's fantastic. It's so impressive what they can do with the 8-bit system like the Game Boy Color. Unlike Link's Awakening was originally designed for the Game Boy, and then they ported it to the Game Boy Color and enhanced it. But Oracle of Seasons was designed for the ground up for the Game Boy Color. And, you know, like, it's very, very similar to Link's Awakening. And I can't really tell whether it's better or worse, but let's just say, you know, it's just as good. Definitely better than Zelda 1. You know, it blows my mind how they can create a AAA game on a portable 8-bit system with a tiny screen. You gotta remember how tiny the screen was for the Game Boy Color. It's very small. What makes this game so great is, I think, the graphics, first of all. I mean, the graphics are so colorful, and the cool thing about Oracle of Seasons, I haven't played Oracle of Ages yet, so I don't know which one's better, but after I play Ages, I'll be able to tell you. But one of the cool things about Oracle of Seasons is that you can change the seasons, so every single tile, every single screen here, each one of these tiles represents a screen, has 4 different color palettes. You have one for summer, one for fall, one for winter, and one for spring. Now, in all fairness, spring and summer look very similar, but still, you know, it's so impressive that they were able to squeeze so much out of the Game Boy Color and, you know, depict each screen in a unique way. Now, in all fairness, some of them can look a little drab. I think the winter seasons look the least impressive. Fall it can kind of hit or miss. It depends on the area that you're in. But I think summer and spring look the best. But it's so impressive that they were able to do that on such a primitive system. And it adds a lot of depth to the game. A lot of variety, I think. In terms of the actual game design itself, the puzzle, like from what I heard, Oracle of Seasons focuses more on the combat, while Oracle of Ages focuses more on the puzzles. With that said, though, the puzzles in Oracle of Seasons are definitely challenging to the point of obtuseness. It's hard to say exactly. My biggest gripe with Link's Awakening is that the puzzles were really obtuse. A lot of them really required a guide just to figure out where to go next. And that was a big problem. So, you know, they're what I call Nintendo Power games, where, you know, they intentionally made them obtuse to sell Nintendo Power magazines and guides and things like that. And that's odious. But, you know, it's kind of par for the course for the time. That's just how it was. I think it wasn't as bad in Oracle Seasons. I did have a friend helping me out with solving the puzzles, so that helped out a lot. But yeah, the game still was obtuse at times to figure out what to do, and like you would just kind of like you would be like when you find out what you were supposed to do, you would say to yourself like, how is anyone supposed to figure this out on your own? So that problem is still present in this game, but if I were to give like a reasonable guess, I would say it's not quite as bad as it was in Link's Awakening. It's a little bit more straightforward. However, one problem that absolutely does need to be stated is when you change the seasons, it will change the level design ever so slightly. Now, this is done to solve puzzles and to go into places that you've never been before, right? So here you can see, here's a stump, and this stump is the trigger for changing the seasons. And there's some reasonable things, right? Like, you get more of these dunes, and when it's winter, the water will freeze over and allows you to access new passageways. If you change it to autumn, you'll be able to pick mushrooms, so that'll allow you to access new places. Like over here, for example, it's winter, so these mushrooms can't normally be picked even if you equip the power bracelet. And that's all. That's all fine. So when you change it to fall, then you can pick these things and you can access that chest. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is when you change the seasons and the level design changes. That I don't like. I don't think I can demonstrate it right now, but sometimes, like, if you change it to fall, a stone that used to be blocking your path, let's say there was a stone here and like a bunch of trees here, if you change it to, let's say, fall, that stone will be gone and maybe one of the trees will be missing. That doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for why that would change, because it's not an established thing that should change when you change the season. But they'll do that, and like it's like, how are you supposed to know to do that? Because like when I change the seasons here, it's not changing the level design. It just chooses to do that in specific places just to confound the player. I'm assuming it's one of those contrived things, so that you get a Nintendo Power to help you out, one of those kinds of things. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. With that said, it's pretty much the only real complaint I have about it. Like, I mean, the main challenge, like, I think the combat in this game is the most challenging I've really played. Not in any 2D Zelda game, but certainly the combat's more challenging than Link's Awakening, and that's a good thing. This game focuses more on the challenging combat. The bosses, some of them are so tough, and they'll frustrate you, but you as long as you stick with it, you can surmount those challenges. So I do like how they emphasized more of a challenge with the combat, uh, rather than the puzzles. I heard horror stories about Oracle of Ages having some really obtuse puzzles. So, well, we'll withhold judgment on that game until we get to it and review it. But yeah, I like the direction they took with this game and making the challenge primarily focused on the combat. I think that's a good design choice. One of the other things I really like about this game is I like the new items, like this cape, the Rock's cape. So in Link's Awakening, the new item was the Rock's feather, which let you jump. The cape in this game is definitely my favorite item. It's definitely worth pointing out because it's one of the things that makes this game unique. You can not only jump, but now you can actually glide a little bit, and it's just fun to use. So the items are definitely really cool. Then you got this thing, the magnetic gloves, which looks a bit like the power glove. I like it. Instead of the hook shot, they give you this thing, which is, it kind of functions similarly to it. But it's different enough to make it unique, and then they have like unique puzzles that use the magnetic glove, which I like. So that's really cool. That's about it. I mean, like they also have this flute which summons a kangaroo to help you out. He's okay. I didn't really use it too much, but it's kind of neat that they have this level of depth. So you can summon a kangaroo and he can punch people and like he can jump over things, and like he's also related to a lot of puzzles. I got stuck in one area because I didn't know that he can actually jump to a higher platform. That was a little inconsistent, but it's not a big deal. So he's kind of cool. You can also ride a dinosaur. So they add like a few extra goodies in this game. So they added the Rock's feather, the slingshot. It can fire a whole bunch of different ammunition this time. It can fire these ember seeds, but that's really the only other difference. The other ones just kind of act as normal projectiles. But I like how they changed the Pegasus boots to this item, because then you can combine it with it just lets you run faster, which is kind of cool. I think these are better than the boots. Some people could disagree. You can find them, they're not too rare. So it just lets you move faster. So I think that's kind of neat. I like that. Oh yeah, the shield. I don't want to forget about talking about the shield. So the shield, I talked about this in Link's Awakening a little bit. I barely used the shield in Link's Awakening. I like the concept of it, where it actually defends you against melee attacks. But the problem with the shield in Link's Awakening was that on the Game Boy you only have two buttons, so it always took up an item slot. So even though it was pretty useful, much more useful than the shield was in Zelda 1, 2, and 3, you rarely used it because, it would take up a vital item slot. But in this game, since it focuses on the combat more, you use the shield a lot more. And there's like a lot of harder enemies that you need to fight using the shield. So it's an invaluable item that you use a lot more in this game. And I like that. I like how they put more of an emphasis on using the shield the way it was intended to be used. So, I already talked about the graphics being amazing. Just right there, you could hear some amazing music. This one is from Ocarina of Time. This is one of my favorite songs, the Song of Storms. It's so impressive that they were able to squeeze out so much amazing music from, an 8-bit portable system, but they were able to do it. So yeah, the music's just as good as it was in any other Zelda game. It's great. I love it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's just a fantastic game. The items are really cool. Even the boomerang, you can now control it, and it can actually defeat more enemies this time, so it's not totally useless. Um, yeah, I think this is a great game. It definitely qualifies as a AAA game. And a AAA game being on a portable system, especially a portable system that old, is really amazing. It's a real testament to what the developers could do and squeeze out of such a slow and primitive console. So major props to them. I love this game. I think it's fantastic. And that's all I got.